So, welcome to the first of our unscripted sessions. For anyone that has been hiding under a rock in the conveyancing world, let me introduce you to Peter Ambrose. Peter Ambrose is quite a name with Legalito and the partnership, and everyone should know who he is. And if you don't, for goodness sake, wake up and smell the coffee. Now, Peter and I were just having a laugh just now because these are the unscripted sessions. There are no written questions. We don't have an idea really what we're going to talk about. I've got a fairly good idea of what we might be talking about. But we don't know. We just had a gig on. What are we talking about? But we're hoping that we might actually cover some subject matter that might be of interest to anyone that might want to find out more about Peter or Legalito, what he's doing. The idea behind this really was to try and dig a little bit but beneath the product and beneath the individual, what drives them, what the market's doing, what their thoughts are, have a little bit of a cathartic moment perhaps, that some of you might find enjoyable to listen to. So I hope that's the case. But Peter, for those that don't know you, can you just explain who you are?
Sure. My name is Peter Ambrose. I'm the founder of the partnership. Founded the business about 15 years ago, specialising purely in residential property, focusing on London and the South East. We've got offices in Waterloo and in Guildford, got nearly about 100 people now. We've grown organically over that time. Always built our own software, and when lawyers joined us, they said, we love your software, other lawyers should use it as well. So a couple of years ago, we founded Legalito with the express intention, which was to take the ideas that we had as a law firm and what made us efficient and to share them with other law firms. So that's what we've been doing. We've been on this mission for the last 18 months now, and it's going really well. And I think what's really good to see is people are talking to us and going, actually, you're genuinely trying to help us. Because there is this feeling, as you know, and everyone knows, there is this skepticism about technology and the technology providers. And some of it is well-founded in that you've got people saying, I've developed this amazing solution. Now, what was that problem we were trying to fix? Yeah. And there is skepticism, and I get it, and I absolutely get it. And I've had some truly appalling meetings with vendors who tell me about my business. They're amazing. They know all about my business when they obviously don't have a clue. I think the most memorable one was someone was telling you, when you give vouchers to estate agents to thank them for the referral work. And I was like, that's illegal. And he was like, no, you do that. I was like, no, we don't, because it falls foul of the Bribery Act. But, whatever.
Indeed. Now, the fascinating thing about you, and the reason why I really, really like what you do is, yes, you do. You're in it. You sleeves rolled up. You're in the partnership. You're doing it, and the whole ethos behind the products you develop is born out of identifying an issue and going, we can fix it, we can do better, and then selflessly sharing that with the community and saying, do you know what, this is what works for us, kind of, you guys can get involved. And that's what I really love about it. But your background, you are actually a bit of a techie. You haven't always been in the sector, have you? You've
no,
got
100%.
a broad background behind that.
I spent 20 years in software. And decided to get out of it because it's tiring and difficult, and wanted to do something whereby I could create an environment where I could use my experience in running service desks and running help desks and selling software and working with software. So that's why I started the law firm, because I just felt that what consumers needed was they needed law firms who could meet their expectations, but also develop something that people actually like using and develop an environment where people wanted to work. And we're seeing more and more. I mean, this is obviously Conveyancing Week we're in at the moment. And a lot of talk about the well-being of people and the well-being of staff and of colleagues and so forth. And not a lot of people running businesses put enough effort, I believe, into what are the real issues that our lawyers are facing. And the main issue is that they don't have enough information at their fingertips quickly enough to be able to meet the expectations of clients. And it's just too darn hard to run conveyancing cases. The amount of manual work people are doing, the amount of administration they're doing, it's just too difficult. And that was my view, was technology makes things easier. And what I get frustrated about is people say, technology can't replace lawyers. And I'm like, it can replace an awful lot of grunt work that the lawyers do. And I get very frustrated when people do that. So when I set up the business, it was with that background.
Yeah.
To say technology is really good. And I get really annoyed when people say, no, it can't do this, it can't do that. People would be amazed about what it can do.
I was fascinated to join your meeting the other week where you spent time explaining the developments you've had to put in place to overcome what I would consider stupid acts on behalf of people that are presented with Legalito, who go, I won't engage with this brilliant piece of kit. I'm going to do proper lawyering. Can you just, I mean, for those that don't know, perhaps just explain the lengths that some lawyers will go to make life difficult for themselves?
It is extraordinary. Just a little bit of background for those people that don't know about Legalito, and the idea is that we're looking at the middle bit, the inquiry management side. In other words, it's the communication between lawyers. You know, the biggest complaint that lawyers have, or one of the biggest complaints, is they have, I have too many emails. So I'm like, well, we've got to do something about this. So the Legalito is designed to get rid of emails and to put everything in one place with your inquiries, with the questions, with the answers. And so it's really simple. And we say to the other side, we say, look, you can log onto this portal. You don't need to set up an account because it's all integrated with Office 365. And don't worry about it. And then just use it. And half of the people that we say that to say, absolutely not. I'm not doing that. Of that, half of those go, actually, okay, I'll register, but I certainly won't use it. I'm just going to look at it. And half of those do actually reply. So what we had to do is we had to overcome this problem, which was there's no point in us trying to improve the lives of lawyers if everyone isn't joining in. It's a really difficult problem to solve because people have some people have case management systems, some people don't. Some people work paperless, some people don't. So you have to find a way. And what you do is you say, right, how do you do things today? We need to support the way that you do things today. So, for example, if you want to write a letter with inquiries in it and you want to put it in the post, that's fine. Okay? I mean, it's not fine, but it is fine. I mean, it is fine. So we were like, well, okay, so here's the problem. This is how the problem manifests itself. So we scanned that document in, and we ended up with a scanned document. And anyone here knows that scanned documents, you can't read things from. And it's really annoying, so that you can't do OCR, you can't convert it to a Word document, anything like that. So we then had to have technology that could do that. And the good news is technology is moving so fast now. What was a problem literally 2 months ago has now been solved. Because all the big engineering, the heavy engineering companies are now producing technology that is useful for law firms, for people like ourselves. So we go, well, now we can process this. If people want to send, for example, replies to inquiries in an email, in the body of an email, it's a bit annoying, but if that's what you want to do, the technology is now available for us to be able to read that, process it, and match the answers to those inquiries. Well, happy days. So I don't see it as a problem having to adjust. I see it as a necessity.
Absolutely right. It begs belief that you have delivered a really well-rounded a product that satisfies a real, genuine problem.
Yeah.
You have how many people? I mean, it's thousands. I mean, over 1,000 lawyers,
2,500
actively using it. And they've registered. You've got a number of cases, hundreds of cases that have gone through it, and you're getting thousands of cases, and you're getting really, really positive feedback from lawyers going, "This is transformational. It's making a huge difference. I've introduced this to the other side. They've engaged with it. Look how much quicker we've done things." And then people will introduce that to a lawyer who will look at it, think about it for a moment, look at their files, make a dictation, send it to a typing pool, have someone type a letter, have that letter be scanned, have a PDF, add an email, translate some of the contents of that PDF into the body of the email and make the reply. Why the hell? And if anyone asks whether or what the challenges may be in the conveyancing world and why things may take so long, it's that sort of behavior that manifests itself into real problems in the community. And they may be thinking that they are better than those people using technology because they're doing it their way and it's traditional. This is how we've always done it. But actually, it isn't better. It's just slowing things up and making life hell for everyone around them.
You know what's even more interesting? It's actually worse than what you just said. Right?
Go on, okay.
Okay, so we had one last week. In fact, we had 2 cases last week, one of which was an existing customer, okay, and the other one was someone who'd been sent these inquiries or sent this invitation. And he came back and he went, "No, this software's terrible, and no wonder no one's using it." And you can tell the developers that. So it was very kindly forwarded to me by this other law firm. And I wrote to him because, of course, he'd never looked at the software. So he'd never looked at it, right? So I wrote to him and I went, so sorry to hear that you're so disappointed. Just out of curiosity, on what basis did you form your opinion? I was then doing a training session with a customer who just hired a new lawyer, new solicitor. And I said, and she goes, oh yeah, no, very clunky, very difficult to use. I went, okay, I'm sorry to hear that. But anyway, chit chat. This was a training session. This was a friendly, right? And then I said, well, look, should we take a look at some of the stuff that we've done? Oh yeah, that'd be good because I've never actually seen it. And this is the problem. There is this assumption that because it's technology, and we can look at this two ways, the less kind amongst us can go, the fear factor says, I'm frightened of this technology. I'm a bit more, I'm a little less harsh. I think it's because people have seen technology in the past that's not been very good or has not solved a real problem. And I think they've said, and I do see this. I see this from people who say to me, yeah. No, we've seen technology before. It doesn't work, and it doesn't. You don't solve my problems. And then you're okay. Can you define your problem? And then they go, too many people, too many phone calls, too many this, too many emails, too many kind of. But they don't actually define the problem. They define the symptoms.
Yes.
And that's the problem. So they go, well, I've got all these symptoms. And you go, okay, well, we want to fix the cause. Yeah. And the cause is, analog communication between you're emailing one another backwards and forwards. You haven't got a clue what's going on, and you're wasting time doing that. But people don't analyze their problems. They just look at it. They come in, they see 200 emails every day, and they go, oh my God, I'm overloaded, and the phone's ringing off.
I think, you're absolutely right. I think the challenge with a lot of people is that they will make a decision at a point in time and log that and put it in their little room and go, oh no. And when that comes around again, that same argument will come out, despite the fact that the actual subject matter or the solution has actually changed or progressed. Might actually change that thought process. But they're so busy, they haven't got time to actually unpick that and say, okay, let's look at this again. Because as far as they're concerned, been here, done that, wore the T-shirt, didn't like it, didn't work, we've moved on.
100%.
And there's a lot of, we have to be, we're really empathetic and sympathetic to that. And there's a lot of people at the coalface, and it's a really, it's a huge pressure cooker environment to get these transactions through. And unfortunately, there are still far too many firms not considering the mental health of their staff and not considering the pressures they're under and under supporting them. And actually, for a lot of business owners who are out there firmly believing that their staff are happy and healthy and doing the right thing and business is great, don't actually spend the time to take a step back and work out whether that is actually the case. Is that true?
I think what's very noticeable, and we see this with Legalito, is when we see things late at night or over a weekend, and we see a lot of it, and it's a bit like interesting. Now we monitor what all our guys are doing, so we know if they're working evenings and so forth, and they do at the moment. I mean, there is extra work going on at the moment, understandably. It's under control, but there is extra work going on. The problem is most people don't have the means to measure it. So if you say to, if I'm I talk to so many people that don't have case management systems, or if they do, they're really old and they can't get any information out of them. So they don't understand. What they do is they look at case counts, all right? And they go, well, that's okay, because you've only got 40 cases. Well, you might have 35 leasehold purchases. Yeah. So if you don't analyze, one of the things that we do is we know, because we capture the data, which people don't do. If you don't capture the data, and it's an old truism, but if you don't capture the data, you certainly can't measure it. And if you can't measure it, you can't monitor it, and you can't make adjustments to it. And that's the problem. So if you say to a lawyer, how busy are you? People go, it's manic, but hey, that's my job. But they don't know how busy people are. No. And that's the problem, because there's no transparency.
I think a lot of people don't actually realise that there could actually be a better way.
Yeah.
I think I don't know where you see it, but I'm fairly convinced that there will be further fragmentation of the workforce within conveyancing. There will be more people setting up and rowing their own boats. I may be wrong, but I just get the feeling that there are more people that are going to say, do you know what? I'm fed up of being treated like this. I'm fed up with massive pipelines. I think I could do this myself.
We are seeing this obviously with the rise of the self-employed consultant. Which has been staggering, 4,000 now in this country.
Wow.
It is slowing, understandably. However, what the trend is we're seeing amongst these self-employed consultants is they're now employing people. So they're setting up businesses themselves, micro businesses of like 2 or 3, which are kind of okay, but I hope that they've got the infrastructure support to make it work. Because
very much.
in my view, and you can tell, you read between the lines when you look at consultants, all right, and they're working very hard and they're working around the clock and they haven't necessarily got the support, the paralegal support, the technology support. And I think that there's going to come a time where people go, I need more people around me. I need to set up a business. I need to run a business. And we're almost going to go into this cycle again of people starting up law firms who are not used to the stresses and the strains of employing people. You know, we've got nearly 100 people. It's a lot of work, and you need infrastructure for that. And
I think,
it's difficult.
You're right. It is challenging, and I think that there maybe is a naive view that I can just do this better. But I think being given a green field and a white page to say, okay, do you know what? If I'm going to do this myself, I just urge people to genuinely take a step and go, okay, if I'm going to do this from scratch, let's look at all the options. Let's look at the best of the best solutions. Let's look at, creating this environment that actually is scalable, but scalable and effective and efficient.
I see too many people setting up businesses without putting systems in place, and I'm sorry, but that's unacceptable.
Yeah, indeed.
I see too many startups, and I was talking to one the other day, and they're quite vocal and public online about how amazing it is and stuff. But when people talk to the people doing the work, they're saying, yeah, but we don't have systems to support this. I'm sorry, that's unacceptable. As the owner of the business, you have to put money in. I mean, we've spent millions over the years on software development and putting it in. That's our choice, okay?
Yeah.
But at the absolute minute, if you're starting a business, I mean, someone I know starts a business and they're using Word as their case management system. It's unacceptable. The reason they're doing it is because they see technology as an expense.
Yeah.
And it's not. It's a cost of doing business.
Yeah.
And it's just unacceptable to have your staff and your colleagues working in archaic ways. And still, many of these are not paperless. So you've got a greenfield site, you start your business, you may be a consultant, okay? You have to look at paperless. You have to use technology. There's no choice. Otherwise, you're going to burn your people out.
It's so hard to go back. I mean, I consulted for a firm, a 5-branch firm, a few years back, who told me they had an appetite for technology. They really wanted to take on technology. They wanted to adopt all singing, all dancing case management system that we developed. They wanted to go paperless. Aspirationally, they had it all, said all the right things.
Yeah.
Implementing that change was the hardest thing, and they didn't manage to achieve it. They couldn't achieve it. They didn't have the management team strong enough to overcome the objections of the workforce.
That is interestingly, to come back to Legalito, 99 times out of 100, when I talk to a business owner, they say to me, I get it. It's where the risk is. We've all had it with inquiries. You have a client calls you up. Oh, you helped me move 5 years ago. Just a little thing. And you get a little bit your heart comes into your mouth. You go, shoot, what have we missed?
What's happened?
And the immediate thing you look for, you go, okay, you look at the inquiries. Did I get the answers and did I report? Okay, that's what you do. That's what everyone does. And they have that moment. And as business owners, they face this every day. Oh, here's a claim coming down the pipeline. So they get it. Where we're hitting roadblocks is the lawyers going, oh, to be honest, it's quicker if I just do it my own way. And also, or they'll say, we're not going to do that. I mean, I've got one where big firm, and the boss has said, yeah, absolutely, we must do this. And the lawyers have gone, in fact, I've got 2 now. And the lawyers gone, no, we're not doing that.
Tail wagging the dog. I really think that business owners of conveyancing practices or law firms should really take some courses in people management and saying, do you know what? This is my business and this is the way I expect you to do it. And if you don't want to do this, you've got to move on. And they need to employ people that actually are willing to adapt and change and progress with the ideologies behind the business owner. Because the firm I consulted with went bankrupt. They couldn't transact. I mean, the outcome is everyone loses their job because the cash flow isn't there.
It's very difficult. And I think obviously we've got, like in all businesses, we've got skill shortages. And there is this fear, if I lose a lawyer, what am I going to do? I'm talking to a firm at the moment they've only got 4 lawyers in the team and they've lost 2 of them. And they're now sitting there going, well, we can't replace because we can't find anyone. So we're held hostage by the skill shortage. And that is a real worry. And of course, the answer to that is unfortunate, but this is the truth. We need to get rid of that skill shortage. And that's a very, very difficult conversation, and one that a lot of people don't want to do, because when people hear skill shortage, they think, oh, we need to train people up, yeah, or we need to teach them. And that's not the answer. The answer, I'm afraid, is technology.
Yeah, it is to
It
support
is.
human activity, and
It
it's not to
is.
replace human
No, I
activity.
know.
I mean,
But it is. And
yeah,
we see this today in the partnership. We've gone live with AI internally, and people are amazed about how much help it gives them.
yeah,
Amazed.
yeah,
And and doing really quite lawyery stuff.
yeah.
and like
No
complicated.
doubt. Yeah.
And that's why we're saying it's all about building relationship with clients. It's all about understanding what you're doing and helping them, and using the technology. But what we're doing is we're taking away the need for a deep skill of analytical, of documents, of transposing information, understanding. We're getting rid of a lot of that.
How long is it going to take? Are we ever going to get to nirvana in the conveyancing world? Are we ever going to get to the point where change happens and better actually is present? Or is it always going to be this constant pushback of, oh, we don't really want to do that, we've always done it this way? Or do you think at some point enough fresh blood is going to come through to actually let progressive change emerge?
I think it's going to take much longer than people think.
I think so too.
And I think that we do see habits, bad habits, passed down from managers to junior staff. I think that change is coming. Change is coming, and I keep talking about, and everything I write, I talk about the drumbeat getting louder. And the harsh reality is that when you see more and more firms using new technology, especially in the service area, not so much the legal area, but in the service area, it's going to make them more competitive, and it's going to make them more scalable than they've ever been before.
Yeah.
So if I look at the number of cases that we can work today, and if I look at what technology can do for that, and how I can reduce the types of activities that lawyers have to do, you're going to find firms doing more work more effectively and taking that from other people for a lower price. I mean, you are. You can't dress this up, and this is my...
Do you think that's going to, for a lower price, worries me, because I always think there is this race to the bottom, and I think there's anything wrong with delivering a brilliant service at a price, at a decent price.
I agree with you. I absolutely agree with you. And we're advocates for that. I mean, we've doubled our pricing since when we started. We're now more than double that when we started.
Good. Yeah.
Because we know that we need to invest in our people, and we've got really good people that we want to pay fairly. But we also know that we can do more work with better technology. We can do more work with the same number of people.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, it just, and that's a harsh reality that I think as more and more people see what stuff can do, there's going to be a lot more people getting very nervous.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, when people get nervous, then obviously innovation slows. But it's coming. You look in the last 3 months, what's changed in the last 3 months, it's extraordinary. Some of the technology that we've been building. We're building now. We built something in a week that it took another firm 3 years to build.
Yeah, and that's phenomenal. And you were saying that from we've got a problem to I think we know how to fix it, to implementing a solution using intelligent technology to support that action, and for you to have put out what you did in the time you did is phenomenal. But you've not kicked staff out. You've not gone, oh, half the team have got to disappear. You've just used that capability to deliver really effectively.
And it's genuinely, and I urge anyone, if you're a lawyer and you're watching this, I urge you to embrace it. You can't ignore it. And what it is today, as compared to what it was 3 months ago, is extraordinary. I mean, truly extraordinary. If you've not seen any of these conversational chatbots that you get now, if you've not experienced it, you would not believe how amazing it is. And for service delivery, and bearing in mind what we do is service delivery, Okay, we're not talking about getting robots to read documents and form opinions. We're sitting there going, right, can I use technology to look at the case, find out what's going on, and if someone calls in, to give them an answer? But that's what we need. That's what we need. Because you talk to any lawyer, where is your time spent? Oh, it's giving updates to people, or it's chasing up lenders, or it's checking this to see if it's compliant. Okay, you can get rid of that, and you can do this today. I mean, we built something in a matter of days that is going to revolutionise our call handling.
Yeah,
in days.
Yeah.
And you know, you talk to my guys here, you know, and then you say, what's the most frustrating? Oh, the constant interruptions.
I bet.
Okay. And you can build it now, and it's cheap.
Yeah. All I would add to that is I do get invariably frustrated by the chatbot environment, where some of them aren't particularly clever, and you do pose a question, but there never seems to be the way out. So eventually, in capital letters, I want to speak to a fucking human being, and it goes, I think I understand that one, and eventually I'll be sidelined off. But wouldn't that be great though, where the majority of those inbound questions or what's going on could be dealt with a very simple or very intelligent process to answer those things, and just have the exceptions go through to an individual that says, okay, that's exactly the way it's got to be. Yeah.
And it's going that way. I mean, you know, if you look, for example, one of the biggest pains that we get is people needing help filling in forms. I can tell you, all right, that our clients do not want to go to a chatbot online and ask you questions online about their form. They want to call someone up and they want to get some advice on how to fill in those forms. Yeah, okay. We can do that today intelligently without human involvement. We can do that. Okay. It's a narrow scope, and we can do that today. Because do my guys really want to be sitting there helping people fill in the form? Really? And then when you look at service and you look at what expectations are, okay, there is this mistake that people are making, okay, and it's controversial, okay, but they say that people, when they're buying a house, they want to speak to a human. Yeah, I don't believe that. I think they want to speak to a human when it all goes wrong, and you get frustrated. I know that, but other than that, I don't. And what I'm basing that on is I'm basing it on Sainsbury's. Okay, I remember I was in retail technology about 30 years ago, 25 years ago, and we were at the time showing self-scanning terminals. And everyone went, oh, they'll never do that because, you know, they want the social interaction. Oh, it'll never happen. Well, it absolutely has happened, okay? And why? Because that's what people want. Yeah.
I must admit, I love being able to go into Waitrose and scan my phone and pick up the zapper and load and zap and out I go. And I've not engaged with anybody. And I always get the little email afterwards. How was your shopping experience today? How are the partners today? I said, I didn't meet any of them.
Meet anyone.
Didn't meet anyone.
And this is the harsh reality. Okay, now there is change in the area in terms of in general social interaction. I think there's a switch away from the always online kind of thing, and I'm definitely feeling that. But when people are buying a service, especially one they don't particularly want to buy, like conveyancing, yeah, and put it in the same bucket as insurance, okay. If you would have said to someone 10 years ago, "Oh, you want to buy insurance?" Absolutely not. Okay. Do I have to buy it for my car? Absolutely, I do. Yeah. Okay. So look at how that has gone. And I'm sorry, but conveyancing is the same way. And you can use all the arguments and all the things, and people say, oh, it's not like buying, you know, it's like going shopping or Amazon or whatever. Obviously, it's not. It's a different type of transaction. But the consumer expectation is 100%. The lawyers are getting in the way of me buying this. Okay, I just want to buy a house. Obviously, I want to be able to sue you. Yeah.
Yes,
and it goes
absolutely.
Wrong.
Yeah.
Obviously, I need to have someone there, and that's okay too. But they don't want to talk to people in general.
No, yeah, you're right. I mean, you're absolutely right with that analogy of buying insurance. I mean, remember years ago, it being so difficult, even booking holidays years ago, difficult. Now you do it all yourself, all the trimmings. And I think that it's one of the problems that we have when it comes to consulting with firms and providing insights into how they're engaging with new business is overcoming the need for when a firm says, but all new business must go through to a fee earner.
Yeah.
And we go, really? Yeah. Really? Why is that? Because we need to be able to get people the message across of how amazing we are. The customer doesn't give a monkeys.
They don't give.
They don't care. They don't know. half the things you think they're going to ask. They just want to move house and they want a good lawyer.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. And we can prove that because we've never, ever had our lawyers quoting work, ever. Okay. But interestingly, if you were to say to me, so would you replace your sales team? Yeah. With technology? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Okay. Like we don't do online quoting. We don't do anything online or anything like that at all. You can't, for transparency rules, we have to put our pricing on our website, but that's about it. Okay. But no, in terms of talking to people, yeah, from a sales perspective. Now, I'm being old-fashioned about that.
You are, aren't you? I
I
shan't get my soapbox out, but my God, I nearly reached for it.
I am, but I'm like, no. In order to win the work, you have to talk to people.
So you heard it here first. Peter himself is not perfect.
I'm not perfect at all. That is my big weakness because I'm like, no, must talk to people. But interestingly, to come back to Legalito, this idea that that people must talk to one another, that's actually detrimental to the process. Because what happens is you say, well, one of the things here is, why don't the lawyers pick up the phone to one another? Well, because I can assure you that if you did pick up the phone, the other person wouldn't answer because they'd already be on the phone. Okay, and then they'd call you back and it would go to voicemail. Yeah? So it doesn't work. And there, actually, talking to people can be detrimental because of the time it wasted. Now, obviously, you can sort things out quickly if possible, on the phone. It would be ideal to, but that's not the way the world works. But if you can have something, and what we're trying to say with Legalito and the thinking behind it is, if we all know what the heck was going on, we would reduce that frustration. But it takes technology to do that. There's no other way around this. I just can't see it. If people, you get the people saying, oh, we get to ask too many questions. We get asked too many pointless questions.
Yeah.
I can't stop that. But what I can do is I can make it easier to reject pointless questions more quickly.
Yeah.
Because you're going to reject it anyway.
Yeah, I think you coined the phrase the black hole of conveyancing and shedding a light on the black hole of conveyancing. And I must admit, the consumers, the home movers that we engage with, always will say that they feel like they've been chucked in the boot of their own car. They're on a journey, but they don't know what's going on.
No clue.
They're experiencing the bumps in the road, but they don't really understand what's happening. And there's so much to be said for just giving people some information to what's going on, giving them some visibility of what's happening and a constant flow of this is where we're at. Even if nothing's changed, nothing's
really
changed.
I hear you, and that's really difficult. It's difficult to do because in theory it sounds really easy, but in practice, when your phone's ringing off the hook and you're having to deal with all this stuff, one thing we're doing, which we're really interested in, so we've very, very quietly, we don't do product launches at Legalito, we just slip products
out them in.
People just do whatever. We put out our client portal, so that now clients can answer inquiries themselves. Okay, huge change. Okay, we've done this for years at the partnership. We know that it works, and we know that clients like it, and we know lawyers like it. But the challenge of getting lawyers to change their processes of how they communicate with their clients cannot be underestimated.
Indeed,
and it's a huge problem. It's a huge problem.
We've invested heavily in a case management system. When in a dark room, what are all the wishes? What could people possibly want? Client portal, yes. Visible communication between client and producer, the case, seeing what's going on, even onboarding in that environment with DocuSign and integrations with this, that, and the other. Fantastic. All that fabulous space and integrate with Legalese, that'd be amazing. And at the end of a working day, have the system interrogate what's actually happened in the file and communicate to all parties without you having to do it. You just do that. And, all this wonderful stuff. Can we sell a case management system to a law firm? No. Are we wasting any time trying to do it? No. But all I would say is, could people please stop trying to patch the rubbish they're working with bolt-ons and put-ins and all the rest of it? And actually, if your case management system isn't up to it, for God's sake, bite the bullet and look at what else is out there.
It's so difficult. I hear what you're saying. It's what amazes me is so many people have case management systems where they struggle with them for years and years and years because the pain of changing is too high.
Bearable.
And there is this thing, isn't it, where the pain of change versus the pain of no change, and it's a truism, and I can't stand truisms, all right? But there is this feeling of, for example, we switched ID providers a few months ago. Okay, the reason why we switched was because our regulator said, what you're doing at the moment isn't good enough. So we went, okay. We'd be doing something, we're like, fine. Otherwise, trust me, we wouldn't have changed. Honestly, because why? It was okay. It was fine. And now what we've got, personally, it's okay. It uses an app, which I'm not a fan of. I don't like having third-party apps with our clients. We've never done it before. But could we build it ourselves? Possibly. Can I be bothered? No. And that's the problem, the pain of change.
Yeah.
And you see people struggling with really old systems, especially when they've highly customized them.
Yeah.
And the problem is that all it takes, like we saw a couple of years ago, is a big outage because of the architecture's all wrong. But what's amazing is if you look back, those firms that were affected by the outages, okay, have they switched?
No.
No.
It'll never happen again.
We were unlucky.
Yeah, we were really unlucky. Yeah.
And that is a difficulty. So trying to get people to change, and people say lawyers are averse to change. I don't think they're particularly more averse than anyone else, if I'm totally honest with you. I think that they're averse to risk, and that's what we pay them for.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
So when I say to people, stop using Word, okay, and this is a real conversation I had with someone the other day, a partner of a law firm. I use Word. I put the inquiries in a letter, and I send them over to the other side, and I say, please, in a table, can you use it? And of course, the other side says no. So they say, okay, fine. And then they email back. So I copy and paste them, and I put them in blue, and then I copy my reply, type my replies into that table, and I color it green, and I send it back to the other side. And they still refuse to use it, and I copy and paste. And that's fine. Her words. And that's fine. I said, it's not fine though, is it? Because how much time are you spending copying and pasting? And about half an hour later, after we were talking about various different processes and stuff, she was like, we're wasting so much time, aren't we? So even when it's held up to people and you actually examine that you're wasting time. Now, have they changed? That was a month ago. Have they done anything about it? Have they looked at Legalito?
Human behaviour, though, you can't overcome human behaviour. Like, point in case, I was at the fish counter at Waitrose. This is completely irrelevant. I'm at the fish counter, right? And I had a chat with the fishmonger there, and I said, I'm looking to buy a side of salmon. And I said, the cost of a slice of salmon in the packets over there is ridiculous. He said, look, you can get all this for this much money. It's about a third of the price of those pre-cut ones, and you do it like amazing. He said, but you'll be surprised how many people will come to me and I'll suggest this, and they'll say, no, we want to have them cut. Anyway, I said, let's go with it. I don't buy my salmon any other way. But behind me in the queue, a lady came up and said, oh, can I just have some of those salmon fillets over there, please? And he went, oh, but you can have this whole side for it. And she went, no, I'll have that. And he just looked at me and grinned. And I looked at him and went, you just can't help some people.
And that's okay. And I think we have to come back to your point right at the beginning, what we have to do as technology providers is we have to recognize that. And we have to give people, I talk about a bridge. Yeah. We have to give people a bridge to say, you do you, and that's fine. And that's absolutely fine. And not be patronizing about it. I always say to people go, oh, I use a table. Oh, that's really old fashioned. I'm like, it's better than nothing.
Yeah.
Which is what most people do. I said, no. And they were like, do you think so? I'm like, yeah. I'd rather you did that than nothing at all. But what you have to talk their language. One thing we did as a starting point back in November, we would send people would say, look, I don't want to log onto your platform, and that's fine. Can you send them in the usual way? And we were like, well, what's the usual way? And they go, well, it's a Word document. Fine, okay. So we then started sending it as a Word document, as a table, and we said, put the replies in that. And people used it. The most adamant people that were refusing to go into Legalito, even when it was integrated with their CMS, they would use that. And so, of course, we could then use technology to read that, and we would plunk it straight in. In fact, I had someone the other day, they said, I don't understand what's happened, because they sent me this letter. And I copied and pasted all the replies into Legalito, but then I realized it had already done it for me. How did it do that? And I said, well, that's just magic, isn't it? And that's what we do. That's what we do.
Yeah, it's magic.
And so you've got to allow people to say, okay, I'm happy doing that. But then you must be smart enough as a technology provider, and most art is to do this and say, but I'm going to cater for that. And that's how you bring change. You don't bring change by saying, stop, everyone has to stop. You've got a case management system that's 15 years old. You must get rid of that. Because they won't, as you say, they won't. So you need to find ways to bring them forward.
Well, look, Peter, if you had a magic wand, all right, and you could wield that magic wand, what would you magically change in the sector today that would be of benefit to everybody? What would be that magic thing you go, actually, I've got one wish. What would it be?
That I had a universal connector that could connect everyone together, no matter what systems they were using, without them having to do any work to use it, so that they could share information automatically with people without having to do any work to change it, and without having to change their workflows or their processes. Now, the good news is, because of the way technology is going, we're getting to that very quickly now. So, for example, you can use AI, and that's the first time I've used it. You can use technology now that can automatically build connecting technology. It's amazing. In the past, you need an engineer.
Yep.
Okay. Now you don't need an engineer to do that. We can literally use technology to say, I want to be able to connect that system to that system. Can you write me the code to do that? Yeah. Mm-hmm. There was a piece today, okay, and here we are, middle of March, okay. There was a piece today that said within 6 to 9 months, and it was a very grown-up person in America, most development will be done robotically. Mm. Yeah. So we're close.
Yeah.
And we can literally, because in the past, as I say, you'd have to do an analysis of the system. You'd have to understand. Now you can literally point it at the system and go, tell me how to communicate with that, and it will do the work for you.
It's phenomenal. It is phenomenal. It is amazing. Yeah. Well, look, Peter, we can go on all day. We had no idea what we were going to talk about, and look, we talked about all sorts of things. But thank you very much for joining us today. I just hope that people that are taking a moment to watch this, and I hope you do. I hope you do see this, and I hope you do get that inquisitive moment where you think, actually, do you know what? I've heard about Legalito. I've not really engaged with it. For goodness sake, just give it a go, engage with it, see what it's all about. No doubt you know someone already that's already used it and it's made a difference to their lives. But if we don't embrace some of the things that come about that actually do make a difference to people's lives and do save time and don't demean your ability as a lawyer, then this really is one of them. So yeah, I would urge you to just be inquisitive and have a look and see whether you can actually go home at 5 o'clock on a Friday and switch off for the weekend. That'd be amazing.
That's exactly it. Thank you so much. I mean, that's exactly it. Yeah.
Yeah. So thanks, Peter. It's been lovely talking to you. No doubt we'll do this again. I'm sure we'll get another bee in our bonnet at some point that we want to wear in front of people. So thanks for joining us today. And big up for all the conveyancers out there. You do a sterling job and you're very much underappreciated, and we do appreciate you. So keep going. Thank you very much, Peter. Brilliant to hear from you again.
Thank you for your time.